Connection. Looks like you're ready.
Technology.
All right, there we go. Um, and our special guest. Hi, Nora. Thanks for joining the live chat. Um, we have a special guest, and she just called in, so I'm gonna add her here. Hopefully, chat when people join in the chat. Let's. I'll bring her in, and then. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Lauren. How's it going? Let
Good. How
me.
are you?
Good, good. Thanks for calling in. I'm. Oh, you're on the screen. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome,
Hi.
awesome. This is Nora Dunn. I don't know if you know of her site,
Hey,
but
Lauren. Hey.
um, I wanted to have you call in while we just went live, so I'm just fidgeting for a second. Um, but I wanted to have you call in because just to say congratulations and on
Thank
winning the
you.
Best City Travel
Woo.
Tournament, which is pretty cool. I haven't really ever talked to somebody who's won. Like it's just a few emails usually after
Oh,
people
really?
win, and
Hmm.
there's like a couple of different kind of people too. Like I always say they're the people who just put in their city, like they'll just reply back to the newsletter and they'll be like this city, this
Yeah.
country. And then some people write like a few lines. I didn't go back and see how yours was, but it's, you
I
know,
think I just put Singapore because I was in my head going back and forth. I had just moved. I lived in Singapore for a really long time and I just moved to Malmo in Sweden. And I was like, I really love Malmo, but I was like, it's not gonna, I might not win. So I was just like, I went back and forth and I didn't know what to say. And so I just went Singapore with an emoji, like smiley face.
all right, okay, yeah. Well, it was a good choice, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Helsinki was the other finalist. I was really, really surprised at that.
I was surprised Singapore beat Tokyo. Like I thought that was going to be the round, the knockout. And I was like, that's it. Singapore, you know, wasn't going to go further. But I was very surprised that that Helsinki and other like Porto, there were other cities that kept coming that I was unexpected, that were unexpected.
Yeah, and so I what I did was I was like when you won, I said let me look up, like I went into my inbox and I was like I wonder if you've entered any other contests. Like I wasn't sure. Um
No, I don't think I have.
and yeah, so I had to look in. I think you did in 2014, I want to say.
Oh,
You
okay.
you
That
may
was
have
a
entered
long
before. Only
time.
took 9 years, yeah,
Yeah.
to win. A lot of people like they'll enter the contest and then they'll stop for a few years and then they'll re-enter. What made you want to enter this year and why Singapore?
So this inbox now that I have subscribed to your newsletter, I think back maybe over 10 years ago when I was living in Shanghai and I needed like digital technology and I was traveling and this inbox has become flooded with newsletters. And
Hmm.
so sometimes I just skim them, but I always like look at yours. But I think when I moved to Singapore, I don't know if it was the timing, I just wasn't getting or seeing them as often. And something happened. I don't quite know. I was even telling my family is visiting right now, and I said, I don't know what it was, if it was kismet. It came in late evening for me. I saw it and I just went, you know what? I just moved from Singapore. I love Singapore. My partner's Singaporean. I miss it. I'm just going to do it. And I thought it was early enough. Like sometimes I feel like I'm too late
Hmm.
because it's the first 60 people, 64 people. And I was looked at the timing of it and I said, actually, I think I could do it. And I just did it.
Sweet, yeah. Well, it was a good choice for sure.
Yeah. And
I
I will say the timing too. My birthday was yesterday, so I also looked at it and was like, well, like my birthday's coming at the end of it, so maybe it would be a nice like the
that
stars align.
that is so awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a nice birthday gift for you.
yeah,
Sweet. Yeah, like what happens every year is, the contest, the first 50 cities will come in really fast. And then
yeah.
those like last 14 or so, they're repeats. So there's kind of like this gridlock that happens where people are
Mhm.
repeating the cities and all. So Singapore, I don't know if you know, the last time I did the competition, obviously during pandemic, I stopped because I couldn't go to any
Yeah,
of the
I saw
cities.
you. I saw that they won in 20, like right before the pandemic.
Yeah, it was in March and right in April when Singapore won, the world shut down.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it worked out really crazy that because I didn't get to go. I've been to Singapore, but like 15 years ago or something. So it kind of worked out in this
Hmm.
really crazy way that Singapore won. So I'm gonna go this year, and
Yeah.
yeah, congratulations on winning the $1,000. That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you. And thank you for hosting. And yeah, I've always followed, I guess, silently. So this was a good, good
And
way
now we
to
got you.
re-enter. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome,
So
awesome. Let's see. Do I have any other questions? I don't really. I always tell people like just it's so easy to enter that people just enter, and
they
then
should. And I will say, like, for someone who I will say, I think I've seen it come in pre-pandemic and been like, oh, the time difference. I saw it when I wake up. It's too late. And so something happened this time, and I felt like I was early enough to pick one of the bigger cities because I was afraid of repeats. But yeah, just submit it. You never know what happens.
and did you follow along each round? I mean, I some people
Yes,
obsess on the
yes.
contest.
It
Yeah.
it was like I had to remind my like every time I was every weekend I was looking for your name and making sure I didn't miss the newsletter, and I didn't miss it. But I tried not to like publicize it. Like I didn't want to feel like I was influencing. So I only ever voted twice with I have two different emails. And then
Mhm.
it was only this last one I used my partner's emails. Like it's Singapore, you have to vote. Like and then my sister was like, I had 7 emails, you could have had me do it. And I said, no, no, I just wanted to see it happen like naturally and have Singapore win.
I think yeah, Tokyo was the closest. So I will poke
Yeah.
in there from time to time to see what's going on, and I was like, okay, Tokyo's close. And then I
Yeah.
was like, once you got over that, then I don't really publicize it, but I saw it very quickly in the beginning. I was like, Singapore is winning by like Helsinki is getting crushed here. I don't think they're
Okay.
gonna make a comeback. They did
Yeah.
the votes kind of came in, but
Yeah.
Singapore's tough to beat. It's a good city, good food.
It's yes, and that's I think one of the things maybe back in February. This was our first winter in 7 years living in Sweden now, and we just missed a lot of the food. And I think it's some of the reason why I felt like my partner's making a lot of Singaporean dishes now, and we were just like, we miss it. It needs to be people need to love this uh, place. Like here in this region, Southeast Asian food also isn't very popular, so if we also just felt like let's give them a voice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lauren, I have a question for you. What is a Singaporean dish that you'll cook?
Oh, oh. Uh, so what do you? What's the Singaporean dish you would cook?
How many hours do they have?
He wants to know how many hours you have. Um,
Yeah, just fried rice
so
or
like nasi
chili crab.
goreng, chili
Fried rice.
crab.
Yes.
Nasi goreng is like fried rice. So that's a big one. But it ends up being, it's not so much the fried rice as it is the sambal, which is like this shrimp paste. And so we brought with us from Singapore belachan, which is a special shrimp paste that's in a brick that we actually can't find here. So he will make like a whole thing of fresh sambal that he'll then put into any dishes. So it feels Singaporean, like it has the flavor. So I would say that a lot of it's him. He's currently trying to recreate his mom's curry. So there's some South Indian and some Singaporean dishes like combinations we're trying to do. But chili crab is the big one. I think the chicken rice. But we can actually find some of that here because it's a little bit. There's a chef here who does Singaporean chili crab, and he also does Hainan chicken rice. But we're finding like the Malay or the Indian part of Singaporean food harder to find.
Interesting. And you're in Malmö? Malmö?
Malma, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, why Sweden?
Well, I got a job there. But I've always been a fan of Scandinavia. And I will say, being in Singapore during the pandemic, I started missing the seasons. So we talked about moving and where to move. We wanted to be somewhere that had nature, the four seasons for me, and good quality of life. So, and Singapore is great quality of life, but we felt like the work-life balance. It's very go 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 all the time. So we're trying to figure out maybe we would try somewhere different. Um, with a bit more quality of life, I would say. Like not quality of life, like work-life balance. Like there's like no one, yeah, people leave work and they're done. It's a new concept for me, even as an American.
And in the next contest, you get the first pick before everybody else.
Now I have to think about it now. So I don't know. I was just talking about like what city do I pick? I don't think Singapore can win again. He just said Singapore. He's like, you pick Singapore again. I don't know if that'll happen.
Well,
Maybe Copenhagen. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, well, Helsinki did surprisingly well. I was very surprised. So maybe Scandinavia has some surprises.
Yes, I mean it's a beautiful part of the world.
Well, congratulations again. Thank you for
Thank
calling.
you.
It was great
You're
chatting.
welcome.
And
Great chatting with you too.
we look forward to see what city you pick next time.
Yes, thank you very much.
Tell him when he's there.
Well, and also, sorry, my partner's saying we'll send you some things to do when you're in Singapore.
Yeah.
I would love that. That would be great.
When you said in your newsletter you wanted some
Go
ideas.
Try out all the hawker centers.
He has hawker centers for you. We'll send you a list.
I can't wait to go there and just eat. Like that's all I'm planning to do.
Like that's one of the things. His family's coming here in June. We already have food for them to bring, but we're looking forward to when we can go back. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
well, thanks again. Take care.
See you. Bye.
All right. Now I'm going to check that if I can. All right, sweet. I can. I'm always paranoid getting the Zoom to work. And like sometimes the very first time I did this, the Zoom didn't work for half the time. So they could hear me, but not anybody else. Yeah.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so that was the best city winner. Singapore. Yeah. Went all the way to the final again. So pretty wild.
Listen, Singapore is a world-class city. It's such a and country at the same time.
Yeah.
It's such a mishmash of cultures and foods. That's why I was asking what food her partner would cook, because when I think of Singapore, I just think of everything. It's just so many different cuisines wrapped in one. I mean, chili crab and nine on rice are obviously the two most well-known staple Singaporean dishes, but I would have thought that chili crab would actually be a pretty complicated dish to prepare at home. So that was why I asked that question. I was following another contest very recently that was for the best place in the world. And interestingly, I was really surprised the Maldives came out tops. And have you been to the Maldives?
I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't either. I mean, I think of it typically as being the overwater bungalow resort style destination. And anyone I know who's tried to visit the Maldives in any other capacity, as in, stay on land in a more of a budget travel sense, has found that the experience was a little bit lackluster. But I guess I mean, listen, if you're a travel hacker and you like your frequent flyer miles and you like to do all the hotel hacking, Maldives is definitely the bucket list travel hacking experience to have.
Yeah, like for me, I know people love beaches, like tropical beaches. For me, it just like, I never feel like I need to go to a tropical, like it's just, I would rather be like wherever your background is, those mountains. That's kind of like what I love to do. But I haven't been to Maldives, so I have to go. But yeah, I'm surprised at that though.
It's funny you should say that you would rather be here. So I remember years ago reading this, and this really resonated for me, that you're either a mountain person or an ocean person. Now, of course, we can have a little bit of both, and you can like both, but fundamentally, most people are either one or the other. So if you are a mountain person, then when you're in the mountains, you feel nurtured and you feel the sense of grandeur of the mountains and you feel at home. But if you're a mountain person and you're on the ocean, you feel overexposed and vulnerable. If you're an ocean person and you're on the ocean, you feel free and, liberated. And if you're an ocean person and you're in the mountains, you feel claustrophobic. So I personally am also a mountain person. I love the ocean in smaller doses. I like you, I don't tend to spend time on the beach, mostly because sand gets everywhere. And I don't know. It's just
yeah. Well, it's kind of like
but I'll hike in the mountains all day long.
Yeah, I give this example to people all the time. I go, I would rather face a bear, like run across a bear in the woods, than see a shark in the ocean. Both could easily kill me. It's
Ooh.
not, not that I'm not dead in both situations if a shark wanted to attack me. But with
But I'd rather get mauled by a bear.
yeah, like because I can look at a bear and I understand like the bear's what it's thinking, and like I could run a little bit, like it's something more familiar. Like with a shark, I have no idea what that thing is thinking. Like I just see them and I'm like, does it want to eat me? Does it not care? I'm also in this weird medium, but with the woods, I'm like, you could throw me out in the woods for like a month. I might have a tiny chance of survival. Like there's a tiny chance. In the
Whereas on the
ocean,
ocean, zero chance.
a day. I'm like,
Right?
I'm drowned. I'm gone. So,
It's true. I actually spent 3 months living on boats
mhm.
in the Caribbean. And my impetus for this was born, I'm a bit of a sucker for punishment, was born out of an ocean phobia. I have a
Interesting.
little bit of a phobia of the ocean. Like I feel overexposed and vulnerable in the ocean. I'm a great swimmer, but I am out of my element. Like on a boat, that I could never own a boat. The whole idea of it, no, it's not my thing. But I was like, but let's try living on boats for 3 months. I'm not really sure that I conquered the. I mean, it was okay. I mean, I definitely got used to being on boats, and I got my sea legs, and that I no longer got seasick every time I went somewhere on a boat. But it did not make me an ocean person. And I'm not a convert now. I enjoyed it. I could stay on boats again, but if I have a choice, this is going to be my choice.
Yeah, there's like a subreddit and there's a name for it. That's like the fear of the deep ocean or something like that. Like the deep darkness of the ocean that you can't see. It's pretty terrifying. There's scuba divers and people posting, all kinds of like things coming up from beneath while they're scuba diving, which I would be like, I like, no, I forget it.
No.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that stresses me out.
yeah, like, but then I have a friend who became a fish, and I say that because like she basically like moved to a tropical place and then started like scuba diving and free diving and now is basically like a fish and had never done it before. This was like probably she was in her 30s, and I'm like, how like she said, oh, you just get used to it, you just kind of get more and more comfortable. I just don't. Maybe that's possible, but I don't know. Like I feel like yeah, I guess you could do it maybe, but I don't know. It's a tough one.
All of this to say, I don't think you or I are moving to the Maldives anytime soon.
Now, I'd rather be like in North Sweden. Like for me, like I'd rather have a winter in North Sweden than a summer on the beach. I just snow.
See, now once you bring temperature into the equation, I might have to think twice about that. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't do winter gracefully. I'll take the beach
Okay.
over
Okay.
the snow.
I'm a sucker for
There
winter.
you
I
go. There's
like
my
it.
breaking point.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. But there is one thing that I want to try, which is I don't know if I can get over my fear to do it, but they have this thing in Norway where you can go to a fjord and they have these, you can dive with the local orcas that are there.
Mm.
So, and it's, if I get the name of the company, I should find the videos and show you, but it's amazing. Like people just go, they're basically snorkeling. It's not scuba. And this is where the orcas feed, and occasionally they come around the people, they swim around you and stuff, and the photos and the videos are like incredible. I think orcas are probably one of the coolest animals like on the planet. I would love to do it just to see them up close, but it also looks terrifying because they're so huge. And there's no recorded incident of an orca, killing a person, but
They
there's
are
always
called
a
killer
first.
whales, right?
Yeah, there's always a first. Like there might just be one who's like, you know what, today's the day.
And you're the man.
Yeah, especially me because I would be like so nervous and like kind of flounder. Like they would tell like this thing should not be in the water, and just like, nope. It,
Wow, that sounds like an epic experience. Yeah, I'd be down for that. And I would be There's a part of me, and I don't know if this is a travel thing or not, too. Maybe you can lend some insight into this. I do like conquering my fears, or I like
Mhm.
facing my fears, or maybe more appropriately, I like choosing the fears I like to face. But I mean, prior to my travel career, I mean, I was a skydiver. I used to race motorcycles, rock climbing and mountaineering and caving and abseiling and canyoning, like all these kind of like high adrenaline activities and bungee jumping and partly because I enjoy that feeling of facing this like fear where like every bone in your body is saying don't do this
Mhm.
and you do it and you move through that and like I always find that so empowering as an experience. And I will say, even after 17 years as a career traveler, I still get butterflies when I'm about to go on a new trip or I'm about to land in a new place that is completely foreign to me. And I'm on my own and I have to figure out how to survive and do all the things in this place. That still makes me nervous. But that feeling of facing that fear and then getting to the place and having this, you know, what usually ends up being some kind of epic experience and feeling that connection to the people and the place and the food and learning how to survive there and making the unfamiliar familiar
Mhm.
is a really empowering experience for me in the same way that diving with orcas might be or you know any other kind of adrenaline fear inducing activity. Do you find do you have that parallel for yourself in your travels as well?
Yes. Yeah. Like I am someone who, if I think, okay, I'm scared of this, it's always like, I don't want to be scared of that. Like it's like a challenge to overcome. Like the orca thing. Like it would be fine probably. And I'm missing out on an experience that I want to do. And then, but there's also the same thing that like when I land in a new country, I'm always like, if I haven't been there before, I'm always a little bit nervous, especially like if I'm landing at an airport or a border crossing, because that's where you're the most vulnerable. You know, you get screwed over by taxi drivers or whatever. Like you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's happening, and it's like that trip from usually like the airport to the hotel can be nerve wracking sometimes because you don't quite know what's going on, and like whoever's driving you there, like maybe they're super friendly, and then I always like I'm probably like the biggest jerk. Like I'm just very quiet, you know. Like you're kind of like assessing. So I do have that every time I get to a new place, yeah. Um, but then at the same time, I do have this thing where I want to try to conquer those fears and stuff because I want to like unlock that part of my brain. I feel like there's like a lock in your brain, and you just want to like undo that lock somehow. I don't know. That's kind of how I look at it. But
Cool, I like that.
yeah, it is. Yeah, some places. Yeah, I don't know. And usually it's fine. And it's usually the places that like where I'm just totally relaxed the first time. You know, I don't know. I still have my guard up, I guess, when I get to a new place.
I was going to say that's where the shit's going to hit the fan.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, right?
Yeah.
But you know, it's complacency is the mother of all travel mishaps. You know,
Yeah.
not to say that you need to always be paranoid. Like I've done some videos on my YouTube channel recently about any theft or travel security tips, or you know, ways to stay safe on the road. And then I get this, you know, lashback from people saying you're paranoid and this and it's like, well, no, but I like to be better safe than sorry. Like I think that
Yeah.
there is and especially too when you are in a foreign environment and you don't know the customs and you often stand out like a sore thumb even when you're trying not to.
Yeah.
And you know, it's important to be aware of your surroundings, but a lot of that also applies at home too, for to be perfectly honest. Like you're just as likely to get pickpocketed or you know robbed in your home country as you are abroad. um, but when you are traveling, we are vulnerable and we are overexposed,
Yeah.
regardless of whether a mountain person or an ocean person, right? So it is important to cover our bases.
Yeah, and
And
yeah, I agree. It's like, but I find that people who don't travel often, who are very nervous and anxious travelers, they worry about the wrong things. Like they worry about things they probably shouldn't worry about, like what to pack, or you know, like did I bring enough stuff? And it's like you did probably, and you can buy that
you probably
stuff.
brought too much.
Yeah, you probably, yeah, exactly. And you can buy stuff like toothpaste. Like it's not a big deal if you forget your toothpaste. Like you literally buy that pretty much anywhere. Um, or they get yeah, like stuff like that, like logistics. Will I make the flight? Will I do this and that? And it's like, yeah, you will. I mean, like, or you'll miss your flight. What's the worst thing that can happen? They just put you on another flight, you know? I mean, but there,
Yeah, but you say that as a career traveler with decades of experience. I think I think it takes a little bit of time to get that relaxed with the process. I mean, I think for
yeah,
a lot of people, missing their flight is a seriously panic-inducing moment. And if you only have a limited amount of time off or limited amount of time, like if you only have a week off and you miss your flight and the next flight isn't until the next day or two, you've just missed a big portion of your trip. Or if you're flying somewhere to catch a cruise and then you miss the flight and then you miss the boat, like I
that's a
don't
good
know
point.
that I
Yeah.
would deal with that super gracefully. Like I don't have to think twice about that moment. But I do also want to recognize that that is a really good attitude to have. Like what's the stoic attitude, right? What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen if you forget your toothpaste? What is the worst that can happen if you miss your flight? And if you realize that missing that flight means a chain reaction of events that you're unprepared to deal with, then show up to the airport 5 hours early. Like, do
Yeah.
what you have to do to make sure that first thing that could result in a disastrous consequence doesn't go wrong.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine. And so it's almost like you can use the what's the worst that could happen school of thought as a way to choose
Hmm.
what you should worry about.
Yeah, I like that. That's I like the way you put that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Some people, I, perfectly valid point. I'm thinking, yeah, like it can screw up your holiday and everything like that. But you know, if it's something smaller, then yeah. But the things like, yeah, there are some valid things to worry about when you get to a place, um, but just not worry about everything. There are those people that worry about everything.
All right, what would you worry about? What do you worry about when you get to a place?
Ooh, um, hmm, I think the biggest worry I have initially is personal safety,
Mhm.
like my stuff. I think about, all right, can I take my camera out here? This
Mm.
sounds like I'm very paranoid. Like, should I wear my watch here? How am I gonna get around? Not everywhere, but those basic stuff. Like, I want to try to blend in and figure out what the customs are. So that's kind of my worry. Like, and that usually goes away within like 6 hours. Then I really don't like. It could be a place where it's like super high crime where I've done, and I just have all my stuff out, like my camera and things, and it's just like, you know, like you just kind of see what everyone else is doing, and yeah. What's yours?
I want to acknowledge that because I think that that's an excellent way of thinking about things. You know, like because I'm also worried about personal safety, but I also, like you, will observe. The very first thing I'll do before I pull out my phone or other valuables that might not be wise to pull out in certain areas is I will observe. I look at people. You know, like if everyone has their phones out, then all right, it's probably fairly safe for me to have my phone out as well. I'm not as likely to get you know, robbed or whatever. Um, but the other thing that I will do is I ideally fairly early on to this day, I will ask somebody, I will ask a local, what do I need to do? What do I
Mhm.
need to do to stay safe? Is there any specific practice that I need to employ in order to be safe here? So, for example, I was in Bogota and I was staying with a family. There's some extended family friends, and so on arrival, I said to the woman who owned the house that I was staying in, I said, "So what do I need to do to stay safe here?" And she looked at me like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm in Bogota, Colombia. Like, it's got a reputation for being a little bit dangerous." I said, like, for example, can I walk alone at night? And she said, "I raised my kids in this neighborhood and they walk around alone at night all the time. That's no problem. You're fine. You're perfectly safe here." Okay, cool. And she said, "But just just do things, like just use common sense."
Mhm.
And she said, "For example," and then she launched into this whole thing that I'd never heard about before. She said, "For example, when you get a taxi, when you're taking a taxi, make sure before you get into the car that you take a picture of the license plate and the cab's license number. Make a note of it, of the driver license number. Get on the phone within earshot of the driver and
Mhm.
tell your friend who you're on the phone with, 'Hey, I'm just getting into the taxi now. This is the plate. This is the driver license number. I'll see you in 20 minutes.'"
Mhm.
And this tells, and even if you don't have someone to call, you just pretend.
Yeah.
And this tells the taxi driver that you are accountable to being somewhere and they will be less likely to kidnap you. She told this story like this is common sense. And I was like, wow, I'd never heard of this. But had I not asked the local, I would not have learned that trick.
Hmm.
And I now use that if I feel unsafe anywhere, I might try to use that trick if I'm getting into a taxi.
Yeah.
Although my ultimate taxi safety thing is use ride sharing because I feel like that's a lot more of an accountable way to travel somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I've had that like where I've been South America. I've have stories where and just different parts of the world where, you know, I'll say, like, can I go over there? And I'll like point somewhere and they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. Like they look at you like it's within like I can see that thing I want to walk to. It's like a 10-minute walk. And they're just like, yeah, sure, maybe, but you know what I mean? Like when they hesitate and I'm like, uh, or they'll say like, don't go at night. You can go during the day, but don't go at night.
Yes.
And so that always
Yeah.
just makes you like, "Ugh, like, what am I getting myself into? But
Yeah.
everywhere just has like the rules, right? Like, I mean, um, yeah, like I now a lot of people are freaked out about going to to Colombia, which is fine. No, Colombia is fine. I'm gonna share this here. But yeah, like I worry more about like personal safety than like terrorism and things like that because I feel like that's more just random. Just sharing, rather than like I feel like crime is, you know, that's the thing that can impact you more. You know what I mean? Let's see.
Here's the classic move is whenever you see in some, it's often in European cities for some reason, there will in a crowded public area or perhaps even on public transit, there will be a sign that says beware of pickpockets. You know, and it'll be either it's usually some kind of graphic to beware of that, you know, like, so for anyone who doesn't speak the language, they understand what the graphic means. The irony being a lot of people who maybe aren't thinking straight, when they see this sign, will go, oh, and then they'll pat their pockets where their valuables are to make sure they're there. And like, all you need to do, you know, hot tip if you want to be a pickpocket, just stand around one of these signs and watch people because
Yes,
you'll learn where all of their stuff is.
I am a habitual like pocket tapping person. I always do that. So I know, and when I'm out, I'm like, I shouldn't do that, but like I have to like just like, okay, this like I have my system and I know I shouldn't do that, but it's like yeah, it's funny.
You should develop a habit where you like pat a couple of extra pockets just to confuse anyone who's watching you.
And I don't want to jinx it, but like I've been pretty fortunate in that regard. So as having being my number one worry, like it hasn't really, knock on wood, hasn't really happened. I don't know if you have any horror stories. Hopefully not, though.
No pickpocketing stories. Never been properly robbed that way. I did leave my purse in a taxi in Cusco, and I realized what I'd done. I was sitting in the front seat because I was with friends who were in the back seat. We got out of the taxi, and I left it exit, fell off my shoulder, and I left it in the wheel well. So, and I realized like a minute later that I didn't have my purse, and my friends and I started, you know, waving and trying to chase after the taxi, which then made a very quick getaway. So the driver, because he started running red lights and stuff, so like he evidently knew that that he had the purse, and he evidently knew that we were trying to get him. So that happened. That was unfortunate, but and it's so funny too because I mentioned that in a video on my YouTube channel, and I said it was my fault. It's 100% my fault. People are like, it's not your fault that you got stolen, and I'm like, well, no, I left my purse in the taxi. Had I been wearing my purse crossbody, it would not accidentally have fallen off my shoulder and ended up in the wheel well. I could have prevented the first step in what ended up being a theft.
Yeah.
Yes, the driver was 100% responsible for continuing to drive away once he realized he had my purse. I'm not going to absolve him of any blame. But had I not made the first folly, I,
Yeah.
like I would have all my cards still today, So that happened to me. And then also I got, I had a glorious theft of my passport and a bunch of cash
Ooh.
uh, from a place that I was staying in. He was a house guest, no less, and a complete con man. Like,
Hmm.
honestly, he deserved it. But that was a bizarre experience that
Wow.
yeah, it was a thing. So other than those two strange experiences, which make for great travel tales, in with a dose of retrospect,
Mhm.
nothing pickpockety, or I've never been robbed or mugged or anything like that.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, I've only had one where it happened in Buenos Aires. It was like I was taking a flight it was like a short flight, and the lady was like adamant that I had like a small pocket camera, and the lady behind the counter was like 100% you have to check that in. And it was really weird. Like, people don't like it's so like normally you want to carry on stuff with batteries.
Yeah.
And she was really adamant about it. I don't like they had I guess she had seen me put it in, like I was just organizing in my, and as I was checking for the flights, my backpack. So anyway, she convinced me to put that in there. And when I got to my destination, sure enough, the camera was missing from the check-in, as were a bunch of my clothes. Someone had just gone through them. And I'm to this day convinced it is a scam between whoever that lady was in the airport. Where there was some system going on. I learned my lesson. Didn't have my camera or any of my socks or underwear were all missing. So that was fun. So
What random things to have taken.
yeah, they were very specific. It was really weird. I think I was missing a shirt too, but yeah.
Whoever took your camera apparently also needed some new socks and underwear.
And when I put all those things together, I don't even want to know what they were doing with poor camera.
Oh
There's
God.
somewhere on the internet there's like the luggage guys doing photo shoots for each other somewhere. Just in front of, as they're packing and stuff. Yeah.
Woo.
But I've been watching your channel. I've been seeing you've been doing a lot of YouTube videos lately, which has been cool. And I like the focus too, because a lot of it has been reviews and tips. And that's kind of, I don't watch as many, like somebody went to a destination type videos. I like the more gear stuff. I really like to watch gear. And there's not a ton of it on YouTube, like when it comes to travel gear. So it's been fun watching. What kind of things are you reviewing lately? Do you have anything coming up?
You and I have a similar bent in that, I mean, you are a tech gearhead. I am a travel gearhead. Like,
Mhm.
and you also do a lot of reviews as well. You do reviews of backpacks and luggage and stuff. My gear review, my love of travel gear and gizmos and clothing and all of that sort of stuff, obviously is born of the fact that I've been traveling as a career, traveling full time in one respect or another for 17 years. But early on in my travel career, I wrote an article about wheeled backpacks on my
Mhm.
website. And from that moment on, and I really I nerded out on this wheeled backpack, it actually transformed how I traveled at the time. And from that moment on, Google recognized me as an expert in luggage.
Mhm.
So whenever I produce any content about luggage or travel clothing or whatnot, it does really well. So there was a kind of an incentive in that regard to do more content about it. But because I was a full-time traveler for so long, I didn't have anywhere that someone could send me something. Or if it comes to luggage, like if I got sent luggage to review, it's not like I already had luggage. So I either had to ditch my luggage to travel with this luggage. It just was very complicated. But a few years ago, I got a home base in Toronto again. And apparently one of the purposes of this home base is to be a place to receive a lot of gear to
Mhm.
review. So, I mean, I have a literal pile right now of things that I've been sent to try out and review. And I absolutely love this process. I love trying out new things and new bags and just totally geeking out on various features of luggage, backpacks, clothing, gizmos, and more. So, yeah, I do actually have a lot of new travel tools and tips coming out soon. I'm going to have a comparison of various different kinds of packing cubes and which ones are best for travel, compressible, non-compressible, ultralight, all the
Hmm.
things. I have some new day packs, expandable backpacks that I'm going to be taking a look at. I have a new large backpack that is also expandable, but is one of the better known backpacks for long-term travel, for carry-on travel coming. I've got a new wheeled. I personally am a soft-sided luggage fan. I've been trying out some hard shell luggage recently. I don't get the hype.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole spinner wheel thing, I got to admit that's fun. Like
Hmm.
it does make walking with your luggage a lot more fun. Like there's a certain cool factor, and it's also easier to use spinners than it
Hmm.
is two-wheel luggage. But it's inherent waste of space. Spinners take up actual space that
Hmm.
could be occupied by the luggage itself. If you have two-wheel luggage, you have more packing space. And if you're traveling with carry-on luggage, as I normally do long term, that's an important thing. Like you got to maximize every cubic
Yes.
inch of space you have. Um, so anyway, I'm always on the search for good soft-sided luggage because hard-sided, the spinner thing is great, but also hard-sided luggage is really frustrating it because the only way to open it,
Yeah.
whereas if you have soft-sided luggage, it usually there's just one little clamshell flap that you can access if it's standing up or sitting down, and it takes a much smaller footprint. So anyway, I just went down a you can see how much I love
No,
travel gear
I love it. Yeah, no, I love it.
and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, no, I love it. I
But the other
yeah.
thing that I do with my sorry, I
No.
was just going to finish off and say the other thing that I do with my channel is it's not just about gear reviews. I also have a series called Travel Smart in Style.
Mhm.
And this is where I help people with travel tips and ways of, whether it's booking flights, carrying cash, uh, dealing with TSA, carry on essentials, all those kinds of things. And I'm really enjoying employing because I kind of thought, you might experience this as well because you and I have both been traveling forever.
Hmm.
A lot of what I know, I think everybody knows.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of the, and then suddenly someone will say to me, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea about this." Like I'll just share what I think is like a common sense travel tip, and people are like, "Wow, I never thought of that." And I'm like, "Wow, okay, I guess we know more than we thought we did." Because once you get used to doing something all the time, the breadth of knowledge that you accumulate it's not common sense for everybody. So I'm really enjoying sharing these things that I've learned over 17 years with people who might be a little rusty or looking to they're about to go on a trip and they want to brush up on certain ways to really travel smart in style.
No, that's great. Yeah, I have your channel linked down in the description, so people should check it out. Um, yeah, I can geek out about bags and things too. Like I obsess over. I just switched my carry-on luggage for the first time in over 10 years. So I went from an Osprey. Oh, what's it called? Sojourn 60. It was a 60-liter Sojourn.
I had that.
Extremely durable bag. Worked great. A little bit too small for me now. Just like I I can fit everything that I have in it, but I have to pack perfectly.
Mm.
And I hate that. Like I just want to be able to throw stuff in sometimes. So I went with a larger bag, which may be a little bit too big. I went with the Dakeen split roller 80 liter, I want to say. This is pretty big. The same amount of stuff in it, it's just bigger. And I can
Mm-hmm.
just like put all my thing. And also the Sojourn, because it has the two, like the handle, the two, what do you call it? The carry handle. It kind of eats into the inside of the bag. So it's not flat
Mm-hmm.
on the bottom. So there's this little, they say 60 liters, but I think it's a little bit less. Um, and so I switched to this bigger bag. It's a little bit big. But I have the extra space. So I don't have to think about packing.
Well, if it's soft-sided, one of the things I like about soft-sided luggage is the fact that there are usually compression straps on the outside as well as the inside. So you can actually make the bag a little bit smaller if it's not completely full, and that holds all your stuff
Hmm.
together. So then that way, the nice thing about an 80 liter, because I know I've played luggage Tetris so many times, and the stress every single time of, is everything going to fit in, and how am I going to play this game of Tetris today to get it all fit in and smush it down and hope that it fits. And Lord knows if you want to get something along the way,
Hmm.
you got to throw something else out to make it all fit. So that stress, I can understand why you would actually want to go with something a little bit bigger, even if it's more space than you need. But what this tells me is you are team check-in
Oh yeah,
as opposed to
100%.
team carry-on.
Always have been. Always. Yeah. I've always gone with the
Always.
check-in bag. I've never done I mean, because like one bag is like my laptop, my cameras, like the electronics. There's no way I could fit clothes as well. And then the idea of having two carry-ons, just I couldn't do it. I've always done check-in. Always, yeah.
See, I'm team carry-on, although
Mm-hmm.
I go back and forth. I've definitely spent years doing check-in bags, but I am team carry-on now. And I put all of my electronics into my personal item bag, but that really pretty much fills up that bag, admittedly.
Hmm.
And then all of my stuff goes into the carry-on luggage.
Hmm.
And I also tend to, I mean, I play by the rules, but I tend to be on the maximum end of what would be allowable in terms of luggage capacity
Hmm.
and weight. And one thing that I don't travel with that you do is I don't have any super fancy schmancy cameras and lenses and
Hmm.
all that sort of stuff. Like, this is it. This is my camera. So I don't, that if I had to deal with that as well as everything else, I would be hard pressed to get it all into carry on for sure.
Yeah, like my check-in, like my carry-on bag is heavier than my check-in bag. So like,
Yeah.
and they don't often make me weigh it, but when they have, it's an issue. But everything has a battery in it, so they have to let me bring it. And after my Argentina incident, there's no way I'm checking in any of my electronics ever again. 0% chance. Yeah, I travel with a lot. Probably most people I think would say too much. Like I'm always going through this process of trying to like make everything smaller, to get the smallest, I don't know, microphone or whatever. Like I just switched the microphone to make smaller and da da da, but it's still a lot more things than probably is needed. Like this microphone I'm talking into and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, that's my weakness, I guess. With the clothes, like I could probably use a 40 liter. I don't really need that much space. There's like yeah, that I could probably do. I travel with two pairs of shoes and a jujitsu gi. Those are the two things that take up like 40% of the space of my luggage. So it's like, um, but yeah, check in all the way.
And have you ever had any, other than the Argentina incident, have you ever had any incidents of your luggage being lost or damaged in the check-in process?
No, I haven't. Yeah, no, I've never
Yeah.
had. And I've also never had anything stolen out of the bag once it's placed in the overhead because that's a thing that could happen, I guess. Because I can't put it under a seat. It's way too. It's just too big.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's been. I mean, crazy enough. Like nothing's ever broken. Like it's been pretty good. The only thing is that my laptop screen from my previous laptop, the keys got imprinted on the screen of my MacBook Pro. So
Mhm.
I use like a microfiber like this, well, a bigger one, and I put it on the keyboard before I close the laptop lid, so that doesn't happen. Which happens to a lot of people because the all the like grease from your fingers ends up getting on the screen and removing the coating of the screen, and then you have to replace the screen, which is very expensive, like compared to the total price of the laptop.
I remember when that happened to you. And my solution to that problem is I have a screen protector on my laptop.
Mm,
So it's just a transparent thing that goes on to, because I find as well the especially too, because I also use one of these kind of silicone keyboard
yeah.
covers. And that helps protect the keyboard against, minor liquid incidents, and it protects the keys themselves as well. But this can then get kind of greasy. And then when I close my laptop, that I have that same problem. The good news is, though, because it's a screen protector, my actual screen remains undamaged, and I can clean the protector as vigorously as I wish. And if I want to, I can just replace the bloody thing as well. So that's my hack.
Were you able to get the screen protector on without any like dust bubbles or anything like that?
So I just replaced my computer recently. I'm looking right now, as you can tell, there's a couple of bubbles in there, but the reality is when the computer's on, I can't see it.
You can't see it, yeah.
Yeah. So I try not to get too pedantic about about the imperfections, because the benefit of having the screen thing is much better. Actually, I learned from you, and I don't know if you still use it or ever used it. I think you at one point profiled one of those screen protectors that also is a privacy screen. So like nobody beside you can see. I think it was made by 3M, but now I don't even think 3M makes it anymore. Do you use that? Have you used it? What did you think?
Yeah, I always use it on my phone. So I always have that on my phone. The laptop I don't use it with anymore, and mainly because I like to see this. It does. The more privacy you get, so basically the more at an angle of the privacy that it gives you, the less it does kind of lower the resolution of the screen slightly. Like there's you can see it, you'll notice it.
Yeah.
With the phone ones now, you don't really, but also you don't get as much off axis, like angling. So I don't use it for the laptop anymore, mostly because I like just to see the full colors and everything like that. But yeah, I think they're super useful. Like especially on your phone and stuff, like when you're traveling, it's useful. So the 3M one was good though. Yeah, I recommend them. I think they're good. Like if you work at a lot of cafes and stuff, and you're doing like, I don't know, your budget or your finances, where you're gonna have like credit card numbers or anything on the screen, I've seen videos of people who have stolen credit card numbers using like high powered lenses or like the 100x Samsung cameras to zoom in at people at a cafe and like see what's going on their screen and stuff like that. So is it a big threat? Depends. If you're, like I said, working in cafes a lot, probably want to use it. But
oh wow, okay, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of the zoomy camera thing, and I hadn't thought of the of being that. I was sitting on the subway the other day with someone who was on their phone, and she was doing text messages, and I I'm not gonna lie, I kind of looked down at her phone, and all I saw was black, and I'm sitting right next to her, and I'm like, that's really weird. Why do I just see black? And it was everything in me not to lean over and look over her shoulder to see what she was, because I was like, why is her screen black? What's happening? And only now in this very moment did I realize that she would have had one of these privacy screen protectors. But my hack for entering in credit card information without entering it in, so that someone who might or might not have eyes on you, if you're in a public place, is a password protector. If you use these things, like I use 1Password. After the LastPass incident, I moved away from them, and I'm so much happier with 1Password, because I do find that they're so much more user friendly. But also, it's, if I come to a payment information screen, I can just say, enter in this information, and that payment information gets entered in without me ever having to hold my card up in public or even type the numbers in themselves.
Yeah, and you also don't have to remember all your passwords. You can generate a password for each account. Yeah.
It's so good. I know I have hundreds of passwords. I don't know any of them.
Yeah, same. I don't know a single one of my passwords. I know the only one that opens the password manager. That's the only one I know.
Right, exactly.
I wish my parents would use them. password managers, but they do not. They're
Well, I'll tell you what, password managers are also, since you mentioned your parents, they have a lot of great uses, right? I can share passwords without actually sharing passwords with employees and contractors who need access to my accounts. From a traveler's perspective, I can share the master password for my program
Mhm.
with somebody at home. So if I have an emergency abroad, I can say, hey, like I have a problem. Can you log into my bank account, or can you
Mhm.
call the travel insurance company, do whatever you need to do. And they have access to all of the accounts that they need access to. And from a legacy planning point of view, that's also very important.
Yeah.
So, like it's if you want, I know it's a little bit morbid, but like from this, if you croak, whoever is your executor or trying to clean up your affairs, their life would be much easier if they had one password and then they had access to all the accounts they needed access to in order to close the accounts or
Hmm.
do whatever they need to do. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
No, that's a good idea. It brings up
morbid tip.
a point that I heard an idea. I think it was Mr. Beast. He was saying it was, and I really liked the idea. It was like you should upload a video and schedule it like 10 years in the future and only have it published if you don't like, keep rescheduling it. It's like if you die, then like, years later on your YouTube channel, like you would have this video where you're recording it, which would be like, and I was like, I kind of want to do that, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know what I would say, and I worry that I would forget to like that it was scheduled in 10 years. I mean, 10 years, long time, but and then it's gonna go out and it's gonna be like, I don't know, sound really stupid or whatever, all mystical. And meanwhile, I was still just making YouTube videos. So let me, uh, if you have a couple minutes, we can go over. If not, that's fine too. I have some dumb tourists. So
I totally am down for that, but I don't know if you heard in the background. I keep getting these phone calls because someone apparently is downstairs trying to deliver me something.
yeah, yeah, it's
So
cool.
if you can entertain the masses for the
Sure.
next 5 minutes, I can deal with whatever it is I have to deal with here.
Absolutely.
All
Yeah,
right,
no problem. Yeah.
I'll be
All right.
back.
Talk to you soon. All right. Well, it's just me now, guys. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get these. We're going to start reviewing dumb tourists, like the dumbest tourists. Why? Well, because it's fun. And also, it's just fun to like make fun of tourists, even though we're all technically tourists. I'm not on the traveler versus tourist thing. I think we're all kind of the same. We are all one. We're all the same. Let's see what's going on. Thanks for the like. While you guys are listening here, catching up, make sure you give this video a like. Say hi in the live chat. I might have some things to give away. I've already given away $1,000 today, and hopefully you got to catch the beginning part of the stream where the winner of the best city to visit travel tournament was able to call in and tell us a little bit about joining the contest, a little bit about the journey of Singapore from 64 cities, and well, technically it's a country, getting all the way up to the final and beating Helsinki. It's always fun. I love doing the best city to visit travel tournament. It plans out where I'm going to go in the year. It's one of my favorite absolute things. And it was really fun to actually get to, to chat with someone who had entered the contest. And so thank you everybody who entered, who's participated, who's watched and lurked in the live streams. Thank you for all of your feedback. We're going to do, again, there's going to be a 2024 competition. There's going to be a 2024 competition of the best city. So we're going to go ahead and do that. It will be a little bit different. I'm going to try to improve it in some ways and hopefully make it better. So if you have any suggestions, you can always let me know. And yeah, so that is the best city contest. Let's see what else is going on. Travel plans are being made. If you caught the last episode of the foXnoMad podcast, which went out yesterday, I am in the process of making travel plans and taken off for a little while to go to some countries I haven't been to, also visiting some countries I have been to. So yeah, a couple of you have also mentioned where I should go. I know a lot of you want to see me back. A lot of you have messaged me and say, hey, when are you coming back to so-and-so place? We should meet up. That's also a thing that will be happening. So just stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right, just fixing that. Let's see what we're doing on these other platforms. Let's see what's going on. A couple of you did ask me last time what backpack I use, what I would recommend. And my backpack of choice currently is the Air Travel Pack 2, not the Air Travel Pack 3. So that's the bag I use. The 3 is great except for a couple of things, mostly the compression straps, which I don't like. And like I mentioned earlier, I switched to the Dakeen. So that's my main luggage. And yeah, so that's kind of the things that are happening. It looks like Asia is at the top of my list. We're going to do some Asia, Europe, a little bit of the US, and then Central America. That's kind of what it's shaping up to be for the rest of the year, what it's looking like. And hopefully we'll have one more live stream just to kind of round out the best city to visit travel tournament. So hopefully you all can join and make sure that you have a chance to win some stuff. I'm actually in the process of reviewing a few things right now. So I've actually got something on my wrist that I'm working on, but I've covered it up so that you can't see it. And then I've got a thing over here, which I'm really excited to review. So it's been package season for me too, Nora. Welcome back.
What do you do with stuff after you finish reviewing it?
Okay, so mostly I'll do one of two things. I'll either give it away. It's one of three things. I'll keep it, which is usually not the case, give it away, or I will sell it.
Do you give it away as in like, hey, here, enjoy, or do you give it away as in you do a giveaway?
A little bit of both. So like if I get something and I'm like, okay, that's a thing that, that person will like, I'll give it away. But usually I'll incorporate it into a giveaway or something like that. So I don't usually hold on to stuff too long. Yeah, so I'm reviewing a thing that I know I'm not going to use that's very, very useful. And I'll probably just incorporate that into a giveaway. Yeah.
Nice.
How about you? What do you do with the stuff at the end? Or do you keep it all?
I've got a closet full of stuff right now, but it's getting pretty full. So, I try only to review things that I think I'm going to be able to use and incorporate into my travels, so that like if I can use it long term and regularly, then it's something that I can continue to kind of produce really insightful content about, versus if it's just something I get and then I just do an unboxing and then what. So I tend to be very selective about the things that I do review. But yeah, there is more and more of it. So I asked you because I'm trying to figure out what to do with a lot of stuff myself as well. So giving it away is definitely a good thing. We're donating it as well. I've been contemplating putting together a couple of actual giveaways, but I find that they can be restrictive because, like I'm not going to ship to anywhere in the world, especially if it's luggage, or something along those lines. So I don't like to be exclusive by hosting a giveaway that isn't applicable for kind of anyone who wants to enter, because you and I have pretty global audiences as well.
Yeah, I like, my thing is I just hope somebody's using it. So whether it's like either just selling it or giving it away or something, like I like the idea that someone will actually be able to use the thing,
Yeah.
And I tend to review stuff that like I would use, that I'm considering using. Just not everything gets past that. There's one thing that I'm looking at now, I'm like, I want to, but I also don't want to add more weight to my carry-on because it's already too heavy.
Got it.
So, well, people should keep an eye out for giveaways on your channel because luggage. I was just talking about the air travel pack too. That's my carry-on. What carry-on do you use, by the way?
You mean my personal item?
Yeah.
Okay. Because because as a carry-on traveler, I travel with two bags, my carry-on luggage and my personal item. So
Mhm.
I have to be very specific about which is which. All right. So the personal item that came with me on my last few trips, which were, like 2 months, 3 months, and 5 months in length, was the Peak Design Everyday Tote Pack, which was really interesting because, first of all, it's a pretty slick looking bag.
Mhm.
Second of all, it has these modular inserts that can help you customize the bag to be whatever it is you want it to be. And actually, if you're carrying photography equipment and lenses and stuff, it could be particularly interesting in that regard. The shortcomings I found with that bag, though, was that it was just a little bit too small. Like I could have, with staying within personal item size and capacity limitations, I could bring a bigger bag.
Mhm.
And when I do travel with carry-on luggage only for up to 6 months at a time, having that little extra bit of space is kind of important. So I
Yeah.
did find that it was a little restrictive in that regard. So I have right now, ready for review, the Knack bags, Knack packs,
Mhm.
Series 2 medium expandable backpack.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I like that is whether I have their Series 1 large expandable backpack, which is basically the size of that large is large. If it's unexpanded, it can fit under the seat in front of you
Mhm.
because it's 30 liters, but expands to 46 liters.
Ooh,
Which means
yeah.
it could expand enough that it would have to fit in the overhead. So if you were traveling with carry-on luggage only, and this was 30, and then you had your carry-on luggage, but you bought a bunch of stuff,
Mhm.
you could theoretically expand this to 46 liters and then check that in. So there's a lot of flexibility in the trip, but it's kind of big.
Yeah.
So I'm now taking a look at their medium and their Series 2, which I like better than the Series 1. So the medium, I think, goes from, oh God, I'm going to mess this one up. Hang on. I can be very exact because I have a spreadsheet. The Series 2 medium size goes from 24 liters to 35 liters.
24 to
So
35. Okay.
So in both cases, even if fully expanded, it can fit underneath the seat in front of me.
Mhm.
But most of the time, I won't need all of that space. So I like the fact that it has that expandability, but then also at my destination, it's small enough that it can actually be a reasonable day pack.
Yeah.
This Series 1 large was really too big to be a day pack. Like it was kind of unwieldy. If all I need is like, a sweater, some sunglasses, and a few things, it was a kind of a big bag. Whereas the Series 2, that's a really decent day pack size bag. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to take that on my next trip.
Yeah, that's a good size. I have a day pack that I put into my check luggage, which is like a 14 liter, just something enough to carry, like, because otherwise my carry-on is, it's just too big. Like it's 30 something, 32, 34 liters. Like I don't want to carry that all day.
Exactly.
Let's see. Now I'm going to share this somehow with you, and then I'm going to share it on the screen there. So let me tourists. I thought I had done this before, but clearly I did not. All right. There we go. All right. So that's going to be on the screen. There's us. You have to like reshape everything, like resize everything. It's not the most intuitive. All right, now I'm going to share this with you. So you should be able to see that.
Yep.
All right. Everybody should be able to see that. And I thought this would be fun to review some of these. I haven't read through these, but I've heard of this one. Venice finds idiots who surfed the Grand Canal, $1,500 a piece. So, two foreign tourists use motorized propeller boards to slalom among water taxis and gondolas. And the picture is like, this is awesome. I, I mean, it's douchey, but also at the same time hilarious. Like he's even got his little buddy, like, like filming it and stuff there. Uh, they said, let's see. They've only been identified as foreign tourists to set off a manhunt after Venice Mayor Luigi Brugnaro put out an APB offering a free dinner to whoever brought them to justice. Here are the two overbearing idiots who make a mockery of this city. If you help us identify them, uh, yeah, I don't think they've been. They were found Thursday morning, fined more than $1,500 each, and their toys were confiscated, which those boards must be a couple $1,000s too. They have been banned for life from returning to Venice. Oh my God. And face further charges of defamation for making the city look bad. I mean, come on. It doesn't make the city look bad, I don't think, right?
All right. I feel like this is an overreaction.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, let's get it right. I mean, these motorized surfy things, they're first of all, they're kind of cool.
Yeah.
Second of all, like they're really new, so there wouldn't have been a rule against them because I'm sure this hasn't even been tried yet. I don't know that this is like a super douchey thing to do. What might have been douchey would be if like motorized boats are not allowed in the canals and there were people water skiing behind a motorized boat that was causing a lot of noise and
Yes.
wake and making gondolas tip over. Like that's douchey. Whereas this is unique. I the whole camera thing is funny because of course you got to get it for the gram.
Yeah.
I think the challenge here is Venice as a destination has been fighting over tourism as a reality and a stigma. So this plays well into, their desire to, curb the sheer number of tourists that have come into this town. I mean, I don't know, because I was in Florida not so long ago, and I noticed people doing this on the Intracoastal Waterway.
Yeah.
That didn't seem to be a problem.
I think it's
So,
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm amused by this more than offended on behalf of, responsible tourists around the world.
I just realized I agree with you. I'm gonna also realize that we're not. Oh, there we go. Somehow I was not sharing us there. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it's good tourism too. Like it's literally like just good like advertising for the city. And I don't know why they would find them.
Yeah, so they
and
did
then
well
ban
by making a stink out of it.
Yeah. Let me try to like unbork us here. Like for some reason that stopped. Oh, sorry.
It's all good.
Oh, whoa. I did this something weird. All right. That's not gonna happen. I think Venice should loosen up. I really do. Like I guess they got enough tourists that they don't really care. They're not worried about their image.
Well, and I mean, I think that's exactly the problem. They've had too many tourists for too long. And a lot of the tourists have been irresponsible or not thinking about the impact that they have in one regard or another on the city as a whole. So, and there's a lot of, I mean, I read about a few things coming out of Venice, like some tourists doing some really just kind of unsavory things and just behaving badly as a guest in someone else's place. So,
yeah, the article does mention that there's been kind of a run of like dumb tourists, but yeah, I could see that. All right, I'm gonna mess with this later. I'm gonna open up the next one. Idiot tourists lie down in front of wild alligator for dangerous Instagram selfie. Again, this is really stupid, but I also think it's hilarious. Um, oh man, oh they have the picture. Look at that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Like the alligator looks like it's gonna like bite their heads off. No. Oh my god,
So,
I love
all
it.
right, let's get it right. This is a touristy thing, I guess, to do, but this is also just that this is more about the world we live in, as in the social media driven Instagram, everything's got to be for the gram. I mean, even those last guys were, shooting it for the gram. And this is another thing. I mean, those people could be from Florida. They
Oh
might
yeah,
not even be, they may not even be, assuming this is in Florida because there's alligators. Um, they may not even be tourists. Um, but they definitely weren't thinking.
yeah. This
It's like
is
it's like the woman who covered her baby in honey so she could get a shot of a bear with her baby. Like that's like a classic story from like 10 years ago. This is kind of like that. It's like, wow, you didn't think that one through, did you?
yeah. This is.
Wow,
I mean, it's so fun. The alligators or crocodile. Is it alligator or crocodile?
that's an alligator. Wow, looks like
Alligator.
an alligator.
Yeah. It says. Let's see. Um,
Wild alligator, yeah.
Tours of Yellowstone. Okay, this was in. Yeah, they said
I
don't do
didn't.
it. I mean, you got like, uh,
Damn.
man, I would not do that. I would not even be like, I would see where these people are in the back. I would be like there. There's no way I would be that close to the alligator. These people are crazy. Well,
Yeah.
I get.
I mean, I actually heard, and I can't substantiate this at all, but I actually heard that alligators, especially as compared to crocodiles, are relatively benign. But
Yeah.
that thing could still take your head off. Like that thing can do if you
Yeah,
woo.
and they're fast. Like people don't realize it. They're really, really fast. So I mean, also if you just lay down in front of it, it's probably thinking like I should just eat these people. Like just come on. I love it. Let's see. Chichen Itza, are you stupid? Tourists attacked after climbing. I've seen this one. The steps of Forbidden Pyramid in Mexico. Is there a video? Do we have a picture? Unfortunately,
They were they were hit
no.
on the head with a stick by a bystander.
Polish tourist attempted to climb a Mayan temple in Mexico, was hit on the head by a stick by a bystander, and berated by
Are you
another before.
stupid?
So I guess it's forbidden to climb the stairs of the pyramid Kukulkan, also known as El Castillo, ancient site of Chichen Itza. That's in Yucatan, Mexico. I've been there. Now that they mention it, I don't think I saw people climbing it. I'm sure there are signs. I love it. Yeah. Are you stupid? They're screaming. Quote, are you
Well,
stupid?
I'll tell you what, I was there something around 20 years ago, maybe more. And at that point in time, there were no restrictions and
Okay.
people did climb it. You could go to the top, it was not restricted, it was totally fine. And I will say, and I'm a mountain climber and all the things. We had the conversation earlier about the facing the fears thing. I took those stairs. I met a friend of mine and we were like going up, like, we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it. Let's go up, let's go up, let's go up. At no stage of the game did I actually turn around and look back down to look at how I was gonna have to get back down off this thing. But I'm like going up, all right. And they had restored the steps on one side of the
Hmm.
pyramid to allow people to climb to the top. It was a thing. It was not a problem. It was not considered irresponsible. The steps on the other three sides were unrestored and they were crumbling and people didn't touch it. But on the restored side, they did. Um, when I got to the top and went inside, had a look, came back out and looked at the precipice upon which I had to descend. I mean, these steps were they're not even really wide enough. When I was climbing, there was only enough room on the steps for my tippy toe. But
Hmm.
because we were running up, I didn't think about it. Going back down, I was like, there's not even enough room for my foot. So I was like, I had to do this weird side step thing on the way down.
Oh,
And I like heights, but I was getting vertigo. And then eventually I just sat on my butt and very ungracefully butt slid, like step by step, just got off this thing. The wrong person who has a fear of heights, who does it or who gets a bout of vertigo, that would have been full on dangerous.
Yeah.
So I can totally understand why they shut it off. Not only that, but let's get it right. This is a national monument. They didn't want to have to keep restoring it. Like, there's so many good reasons to stay off those stairs that even I, 20 something years ago, realized. Um, but if there's like, if you're not supposed to, there's a sign that says don't climb it. There's a thing, there's whatever there is. Just don't go. Just don't do it. There's a reason,
Yeah.
whether it's a sacred monument and it's sacrilege to do it, or it's dangerous, or whatever it is. Like, good for that person with the stick is what
Mhm.
I say.
Yeah. I mean,
On the side of their head and telling them they were stupid.
I'm sure there has to be a sign if they're not allowed. I mean, it's such a touristy place that there had to have been a sign. Like,
100%.
and he was detained uh, up to 12 hours. That's gotta suck. I mean, like, this just not worth it. Um, oh, the fines are $1,800 to $9,000. He was fined 400. I'm saying he. I think it's a he. $412. All right, not bad. But yeah,
I'm sure they felt like they were getting, if the fine started at $1,800, $400 seems like a bargain, but I'm sure that was still um that's still something that at least hopefully that money goes back into restoration of the site and maintenance of the site as opposed to into a bureaucrat's pocket.
yeah. I'm wondering if there wasn't some extra money on the side that had to be paid as well. I'm guessing.
Who's to say?
Hmm. Hmm. All right, let's go more dumb. What is this? If you're dumb, there are lots of good ways to have a bad time at national parks. Why, thank you.
Oh, Yellowstone. I can see it already. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
Yellowstone picture.
let's see. Went. Oh, these are just people's stories. Okay, so here's Bridget Collins went to Yellowstone 2002. It says the bison aren't tame. I'm following another car. We drive further on. The driver stops, jumps out of the car, runs across the road, proceeds to take several photos of the sleeping bison on the side of the road. He was 3 feet away at most. The man was more fortunate than teenager Jerry and Michelle of Gaithersburg, Maryland. Let's see. He had been attacked by a bison after jumping over a fence to pet it. I mean, like, dude, what are these people thinking? Like, what do you mean pet it? Like,
People do it all the time with bears. They get out of their car, they see a bear at the side of the road, and they get out of their car to take a picture of the bear. And and if it's a bear with their cubs, it's even more photo friendly and even more dangerous.
yeah,
Like, it's a bear, it's a bison. You are like, you don't mess with these
they
creatures.
are huge. Their heads are like insanely big. Like,
Yeah,
just
they're gigantic.
people think they're the size of cows. I'm like, no, they're like twice the size of a cow. I think. I mean, they're huge. So these are dumb. I'm gonna say taking pictures of the bison are stupid. I'm gonna go with Venice Italian idiots are just more like having fun. I think that one's like lighthearted. I don't think. I mean, I guess if they have to do something, because then everybody's gonna go there and do it, and it can be a problem. But I think those guys are okay. Lying down in front of the alligator, that's pretty dumb.
That's pretty dumb. It's pretty
Chichen
dumb.
Itza is pretty dumb.
Yep,
These are dumb.
these
Uh,
guys are dumb.
let's see what we got. Drunk tourists wade into water for selfies with feeding grizzlies. Oh my god! There you go. That's what you were talking about. Oh my god! Look, that picture is crazy. Look at that
Ah,
guy.
see, there you go. Once again, wow. And what is it for? It's for the bloody selfie. Like,
Man,
we're seeing more and more people do really dumb things because they want the selfie.
it's not
This
worth
is
it.
a statement, really, of the world that we live in really unfortunate ways. Uh, well, yeah, that's so sad.
I mean, look at this guy. This is crazy. Like they're eating and they're hungry clearly, and that bear can probably get there to this guy in like seconds. You know what I mean? It does. It seems
Yeah.
far, but I think in less than like 10 or 20 seconds it could. I mean, not even 20 seconds. Oh my god. All right. Clearly a grade A moron. Good job. Thanks, everybody who helped me find the dumb tours. Yellowstone tourists flirt with death by taking pictures dangerously close to a hot spring. Ah, yeah, I have heard of this one. Um,
Yep.
that's pretty dumb. Do you have any other
Also,
pictures?
yep, dumb. And you know what? I've been to Yellowstone. There are signs. Don't go off the path. Those signs are everywhere. Look, see right where your mouse was. There was a sign.
I know.
Yeah.
That don't go off the path.
Oh, yeah,
Right
this
there.
is right there.
That's a sign. Right?
Like,
Hot
oh my god.
steam.
I love the
Stay
title
on
of
the
the video.
trail.
Stupid people in Yellowstone. Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
last one. Tourists who have ruined historic artifacts. These are cringeworthy stories. Oh, all right. There's no story here. Oh, click through to find out. We'll do one. Blue balloon sculpture was created by Coons and worth $42,000 and smashed into pieces when someone visiting Bel Air Fine Art Gallery in Miami accidentally kicked the podium it was situated on during the fair's opening cocktail hour. Oh, that's sad.
Well, that was an accident.
That one, that's not, I mean, I could just imagine someone bumping into it, but what is this one? This 200-year-old plaster model statue of Paulina Bonaparte was damaged in 2020 when a 50-year-old Austrian visitor at Italy's museum broke 3 toes off when he sat on it to pose for a photo.
Yeah. See again,
Yeah,
posing for a photo.
it's all about the
Why?
photo.
This is it. Everything I'm willing to bet, just about everything in here is about someone trying to get a photo.
Yeah. All right, we'll do this last one. Let's see. Proven authorities confused at the debasing of their cultural heritage, a trend of streaking and posing naked at Machu Picchu. What? Park attendants officially labeled nudity at the site a threat and discussed banning foreign tourists without official guides, limiting the number of visitors. Wow.
That's sad.
That's pretty sad.
That's sad that the masses have to pay for the idiotic behavior of the minimal, like the people who are doing are trying to get the photo, right?
Yeah.
So, or streaking or doing something that is they think is gonna make them go viral, then ruins it for everybody else. Like I went to Machu Picchu and had an amazing time. I went with a local Peruvian guy and we spent the whole day there. And we saw all these tour groups come in and walk around for 2 hours and leave and walk in and come around and leave. I mean, there was so much to that site. You could spend a whole day there. And we were respectful in everything we did. But we would just, like we'd be walking around, we'd explore, and then we would just sit somewhere and just take it in. To lose that opportunity is tragic to me. Like if I want to visit again, and now because of the idiots who did stuff like that, now I have to hire a guide and I have to be one of these groups that comes in and leaves an hour and a half later. That like I had the most magical time at Machu Picchu, and now that would be impossible for someone who wanted to visit the site responsibly.
Yeah,
that's kind of sad.
Streaking is like so like also probably not a lot of places to run around. Like I don't understand that. Like it doesn't. That one I don't get. I don't understand. The only one out of all of these I get are the guys who are in Venice. Like I kind of get that. Like if you're like 20 something, I could see someone like I wouldn't do that now, but there was a time that one of my friends was like, "Hey, let's do that." I would totally do that. It looks like fun.
Well, and now, unfortunately, because of that article, I'm sure there are now going to be regulations developed to restrict the use of hoverboards or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I guess they're not called that. Motorized hoverboard water thingies. I don't know. I'm sure there's a technical term for it. But yeah, now there are going to be measures put in place to limit. And I don't think that that's a bad thing necessarily. But, for you, I mean, you fly drones, right? Are you a drone pilot?
Yep.
All right. So I'm sure, and you flew drones before there were restrictions
Yeah.
on where and how and when you can fly them. So you'll remember when the days of freedom, launch your drone
Yeah.
and do your thing and it's all good. And I'm sure that you did that very responsibly. But because of the yahoos who did not do it responsibly, now there's regulations and there's all kinds of places where you can't fly drones at all. And now that makes it considerably more
Yeah.
difficult to do it. Uh, Not wrong. I don't know that these regulations are a bad thing overall, because again, there's a lot of really stupid people out there or irresponsible people. It's going to be the same thing for these water hoverboardy thingies too. Now that
Yeah.
it's becoming a thing and this kind of stuff is going to be news. Yeah, all right. So now you're only going to be able to do it in much more limited scenarios and locations.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I said before, if everybody's going there, a bunch of people are doing this every year, then it's gonna go from being kind of cute and funny to super, super annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Dora, for joining the live stream today. Thanks for coming in to chat. Where can people find you? What are you up to? Where are you going next? All the
So
questions.
my online home is you can always start at theprofessionalhobo.com for my website, which kind of goes into my last 17 years of career travel. Ultimately, my mission is to help people design their lifestyles and arrange their affairs so they can travel long term while working remotely. So that's my kind of overarching theme of a lot of my content. Although I've been known to share many a travel adventure as well on my site, of which, of course, I have many. But also, too, I've been focusing a lot on my YouTube channel. If you just search for Nora Dunn, you will find me. And it's definitely you can subscribe and check out my Travel Smart and Style series. Check out my travel gear reviews and remote work tips and tools. I'm posting videos every week there now. And I've been doing really well lately, actually. I got like 1 million views in the last couple of weeks, which is kind of fun. So those are the two. And then you can find me on all the social channels. You can find my social channels from either YouTube or my website. As for where I'm going next, I'm currently in my home base in Toronto. I'm going to be here for the next ostensibly couple of months, although I'm speaking at a couple of conferences in the United States in that period of time. So I'm going to do some short trips. But longer term, I'm going to spend the summer in Europe. And then I'm going to spend the winter in Africa with Remote Year.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yes, I've never actually had a full year of travel planned in advance. It feels a little weird for me, but because of the nature of the experiences that I'm doing a lot of co-living and co-working programs. I want to experience these kinds of programs so that I can produce content about them in an informed way in terms of helping people choose what's going to be best for them in terms of their lifestyle, designing your lifestyle to travel long term. A lot of these done for you programs help make the travel lifestyle a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think that the community aspect as well as the done for you aspect is really interesting, but I want to see it from the inside. I want to experience it from the inside out. So that's my mission this year, which is why I have so much travel already planned, because you got to plan this kind of stuff in advance.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that kind of travel, actually. I don't know much about it, so it'll be interesting to see how it works and like what your experience is.
Yeah, well, stay tuned. And if you want some more information on that kind of stuff right now, if you go to theprofessionalhobo.com, I think on my homepage, even right from there, I have some articles that are about co-living and co-working programs, how to book monthly accommodation as a digital nomad without using Airbnb, stuff like that. So lots of good resources.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it. Thanks also, Lauren, for calling in. That was a lot of fun. And thank everybody for lurking during the stream. I appreciate it. And we'll catch you hopefully sometime soon. So let me do this and end the stream. Bye.